Welcome along, fellow time travelers. This is Scott Cardinal. In this micro lesson, we're going to travel to Los Angeles to check out the mansion formerly owned by a gentleman named Brian Hugh Warner, who is known professionally as Marilyn Manson. For the record, I know absolutely nothing about Mr. Warner or his persona. In fact, if you offered me $1 million, or any amount actually, I couldn't name any of his songs. Now, he might be the most talented singer in the world. I just don't know. So, that's not a reflection on his creativity or anything else. Truth be told, I can't name a lot of contemporary entertainers. I still like films and music from the early 20th century. But one thing I do know is this. He is clearly a talented entertainer. And his stage persona probably does not seep into his personal life any more than Gene Simmons of Kiss being a demon, or Alice Cooper sitting at home eating chicken heads, or Ozzy Osbourne hanging out in his living room biting bats, or Johnny Depp swinging swords around a ship as if he is a pirate, or a million other examples. Entertainers do not behave offstage in the same ways that are associated with their artistic performances. So it's kind of weird when I was doing research about his house and all I kept reading about how it's dark and it's dreary and this is a reflection of his personality and this and that and the other thing. The guy's a performer. He does his thing that everybody else does when they go to work. The idea that he's living in some dark, dreary, creepy, scary monster's lair is crazy. And so I think you'll actually enjoy seeing the type of house that he used to live in. Now, in reference to this house, I read in a handful of places that it was formerly owned by actress Mary Astor. In fact, that's actually why I originally became interested in learning more about it. Now, for those of you who don't know, she is best remembered for being in the movie The Maltese Falcon, and that was in 1941. But her career actually began in silent films when she was a teenager in the 1920s. Also, I read in a handful of places that this house was built specifically for her in 1925. But then I found out that wasn't true. You see, in 1925, Mary Astor was only 19 years old, and her parents were keeping all of her money. But anyway, the house was not built for her in 1925. In fact, it wasn't built for her at all. It's actually well known to people interested in Hollywood history that in 1925, Astor's parents bought a Moorish-style mansion with 1 acre of land that was known, and is still known, as Moorcrest. And Moorcrest is a very famous house that I'm going to talk about in another video. Also, I read an interview where Mr. Warner said that he bought the house because it was right next door to Johnny Depp. But I kind of think that quote might not be accurate. For starters, we all know that Johnny Depp lives on North Sweetser, which is off of Sunset Boulevard. And that is nowhere near where this house is. Now, it is possible that Johnny Depp owns other houses for investment or other purposes. But it seems unlikely that he would live right off the road like the houses on San Marco Drive. And since it would be unknown that he lived there, it seems kind of unlikely that his friend, Mr. Warner, would dox Mr. Depp like that. And so it seems to me that quote was probably wrong. Also, it has been reported that Mr. Warner purchased the property in 2013. But according to the Los Angeles County Property Assessor records, prior to the most recent sale on June 17th of 2021, it was last sold on February 16th, 2007 for $1,699,000.16. And its assessed value at the time was $1,230,000. Also, there are stories that the house was once owned by Marshall Chess. He was the co-founder of the Rolling Stones record label in the early 70s. And supposedly the band members were frequent overnight guests, and often members of Fleetwood Mac used to swing by to hang out at the pool. Especially since Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham lived just down the street throughout the 70s. But to be perfectly honest with you, there are so many badly researched stories out there that I'm not even sure if that story is true or not. And so it looks like there are some false or possibly false stories out there about Mr. Warner's former mansion. And we might even discover some more as time goes by. But here's the good news. I do have some accurate information and a lot of photos that I can share. So let's get rolling. The artist that is known as Marilyn Manson purchased this home that is located at 2404 San Marco Drive in Los Angeles. The house was built in 1925 and first occupied in 1926. When Mr. Warner lived there, the house had 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. According to LA County's records, the building has 1,905 square feet. What's interesting about buying real estate in places like Los Angeles is this. It's the land itself that usually has the most value. And so with this particular house, the land is worth about $1 million. And so anything above that is the value of the house, which might explain why so many houses in the area are simply torn down and replaced by new homes, because it is the property itself, the land, that is the real treasure. Incidentally, for anyone who is hating on this guy, Mr. Warner, because they think he is just some weirdo who's rolling around in dough, I'm not too sure how much money this guy really has. I mean, no doubt he has a lot of bread. But maybe it's tied up in something, or maybe he was ripped off like other celebrities, or something's going on. Because when you see the photos of this house, you aren't going to be too impressed. I mean, it's kind of really in bad shape. And I'm not sure why that is. Unless maybe he liked it that way, and he wanted to retain the original character of this vintage home, or maybe just didn't want to make any effort towards restoration. Now, as you can see, this is the view from San Marco Drive, and it is the original front entry to the house. And from this view, there really isn't anything too exciting about it for most people. No one's going to be slamming on their brakes and staring at this. But the house is much larger than it appears to be from the street. And that is because the property goes down 3 levels, and the property spans across 3 lots. And there's a gated entry below at 2405 Holly Drive. As you can see, the house has white stucco walls with Mediterranean-style roof tiles. And there's a security gate along the entire front. On the far right is the main entry to the house, and to the side can be seen arched windows with pretty stained glass. And on the left is another entry which goes directly into the kitchen. After all, it's much easier to bring groceries directly into the kitchen this way than climbing up 3 flights of stairs from below. Now, once you enter the house, directly in front of you is a spiraling staircase. And the different levels of the house are easily reached via this staircase with French windows along the exterior wall. Now, looking down, why in the world some of the hardwood floors weren't sanded and stained, I don't understand. To the side of the main entry hall is a living area with original hardwood floors. And there's a fireplace with a very ornate surround, and there are French doors facing out of the back and sides of the house. And as you can see, there are other rooms on other floors, which can be either living spaces or can be repurposed as bedrooms. It seems to me that there was probably once a lot of natural colored wood beams and doors and window frames and fireplace surrounds that, at some point, were unfortunately completely painted white. The house has 2 master suites, one of which seems to take up the entire level of the top floor of the house and has views in every direction. As you can see, the house has tile bathrooms that clearly need to be updated, as does the kitchen. Each story of the 3-level boasts multiple private decks and patios that offer views of the tropical plantings of the area and surrounding properties. And at the very bottom of the property is a shady, stream-fed koi pond that is surrounded by ferns. And on the property is a 2-story guest house that has a wall of windows. And it has its own kitchen, and the bedroom is upstairs that is reached by ascending a wrought iron spiral staircase. Next to the guest house is a long and narrow swimming pool that is surrounded by reddish flagstone tiles. And so, as we could all see, the home is in dire need of restoration. And so while it was for sale, this video was created in order to help people get an idea of what can be done if they acquire the house and the property. So, given a sufficient budget, it does seem like this vision can most certainly be brought to fruition. And so this concludes this micro lesson about the mansion formerly owned by Marilyn Manson. If Mr. Warner, or anyone who works for him, or if anyone who's ever been to that home, would like to contact me to shed some light about what I've shown here, please do feel free to contact me at your earliest convenience, because I've got questions. If you want to support my research, please check out my website, audibleadventures.com. That website also has a page with links to some of my books. In the description below is a link if you want to make a donation to support my research and productions. The subject matter, please put those in the comments below and share what's on your mind. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. Oh, and kindly hit that notification bell. Until next time, I wish you safe travels on all your journeys.